So this past July 4th weekend, I went to my first video game convention. Not the first convention I've ever been to, but the first video game focused convention I've been to. And that would be Southeast Game Exchange in Greenville, South Carolina. So today I'm gonna tell you about my experience at my very first video game convention. I'm gonna tell you about what I got, what all I received as a VIP, what games I picked up, did I spend more than what I got was worth, and just was it all worth it? So without any further ado, let's jump into the video. So the event took place between July 6th and 7th, 2024 at the Greenville Convention Center in Greenville, South Carolina. It took me about 5.5 hours to get there, and I was told that when going to one of these gaming conventions, you need to put together a list. As a collector, I got an insane wish list of just tons of stuff. You're just not gonna remember all that. You need to have kind of a focused list of like 20, 30 things that you're like, these are the things I'm gonna keep my eye out for. Will I get other things? Sure. Will I get all those things? Absolutely no, I did not. I got a list that we'll put right here of about 25 to 30 things that I wanted to just keep my eye out for. Things that were close to the top of my list that were reasonable. Now there are just a few hardware pieces that were on the list I wanted to get, or at least keep my eye out for. The Virtual Boy, that is one console I don't have and I've been wanting to get. Now there's only like 13 games for the Virtual Boy, and I fully understand the Virtual Boy is not a great console, but it's just like this weird piece of tech I never got to experience. And I just want it in my collection. And they did have some. Depending on if it had a box or not, they range from about $400 to $550. And there were a couple that were more than that. There weren't any that were less than that. 400 was like the least amount I found. And actually I think it was like 450, it wasn't even 400. There were a few of them. One of them I almost pulled the trigger on. I just couldn't quite bring myself to drop half of the allocated money that I brought for this thing on one thing, on this one thing. I mean, if it was like one like great thing, nothing against the Virtual Boy, but something I knew I was gonna use a lot, maybe we could talk then. But we're talking about a niche, super niche console that has 13 games. And I'm not gonna get the 13 games with it. That's just the console, no games. I just couldn't bring myself. I was trying to be responsible. I really wanted to. I'd love to have it on the shelf in the collection, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it that time. I will get a Virtual Boy eventually. So Virtual Boy, it was at the top of the list, but that is something I just didn't get. Now the one last bit of hardware that I wanna go over before we jump into the games that I did get was the Magnavox Odyssey. This is another console I was interested in getting. It's not a console I'm probably gonna spend a tremendous amount of time with, but it is a console I've been interested in picking up. They don't cost too much money. I mean, I do like true retro consoles like that. My 2600 and 7800, they get a decent amount of play. I love those things. But I really wanted to get a Magnavox Odyssey, and I ran across one. Now this one, this screw up is totally on me. It was when I first got there and I was walking through and a guy had a complete one, not just complete, but it came in a case. He had that with a couple of games for 50 bucks. Now, I mean, the Odyssey's not worth a ton, but 50 bucks is a good price for the thing, especially in this condition. It was in great condition, it was working. Now, you gotta understand, this is my first video game convention. So I walked in there, I was all by myself, and I was, you know, I'm not a shy person necessarily, but it was a bit much to take in. So when I first got there, I didn't even have my cash on me. I totally forgot to get cash out, so I had to use the ATM that was there in the hall, and it only let you get out a certain amount of money at a time. But all that aside, I kind of saw that as a good thing though. When I got there, I said, well, I want to use cash on everything because taxes and all that, and you can usually get a better deal. So I kind of want to get my bearings when I first get into this place. So I'm gonna walk around and just kind of see what everything, take it all in, and then start deciding what I'm gonna buy. So it was a good thing I didn't have cash and I wouldn't impulse buy. As I'm doing that initial walkthrough in that first 45 minutes before the doors open to the general public, there it was. I saw it and I was like, oh, cool. And I remembered where it was. I said, all right, I wanna come back. I feel pretty good. I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna buy that off this guy. I'm looking around, not a ton of people in there, and I was like, nobody's gonna get this, right? So I keep on walking through, I'm looking around, and then I decide after a while, okay, time to get some money. Go get my money. I'm walking around, and a few minutes after that I say, oh yeah, I wanna go get that Odyssey. It wasn't too terribly long. I felt like it'd still be over there. Walk over, find the place. You already know what happened, man. It wasn't there. Somebody picked it up. Why? Because it was a great deal, you idiot. That's why. Me being the idiot, not you. I should have picked it up right then, or at least talked to the guy and be like, hey man, I'm gonna go pick up some cash, I'm gonna get this, just, you know, hold that back, or something. I should have just ran and picked that up right then. That would have been a great pickup. That was the one thing I kind of regretted about this visit. I did see a couple of more throughout the day, even in box and things, but they were all much more expensive than 50 bucks. This guy clearly just wanted to get this thing out of there, and I missed out on that. It's one of those things, one of those few stories I'll be able to tell one day as to where I had a great deal right in front of me and I just missed out on it and something happened. It's kind of like my Jaguar CD story, which I'm not gonna get into that right now because it's trauma. All right, so let's jump into what you guys were all here for. And yes, I'm gonna talk about my overall experience and is it worth it and all that closer to the end of the video after we go through the games. But let's talk about what I did get and look at it all. And as we do this, we're gonna play a little game. And I know this is nothing original for these types of videos, but I'm doing it anyway. I'm gonna tell you how much I spent on what it is I bought, and then we're gonna look at it and see how much it's actually worth as far as the market goes. So we're gonna put what I've spent running total here and what it's worth running total over here, and hopefully in the end we'll see that I spent less than what I got's worth. Hopefully. I feel pretty good that I did. I think I did a pretty good job. We'll see. Did I get anything that was worth a butt ton of money? No, I got 2, 3, 4 things that are worth a decent amount of money, but nothing that's like Panzer Dragoon Saga. I didn't end up with anything like that. I didn't end up with the Kuon or Snatcher, though I have Snatcher already. But you know, these really expensive games, no, I didn't get that. I did get some things that are worth over 100 bucks, and we're gonna look at those. So without any further ado, let's look at what I got. And the first two things are gonna be hardware, and this is not a good start because some people are gonna be like, really, that's what you drove 5.5 hours to get? Yes, I did. The Wii Pro Controller. Yeah, and let's go ahead and throw both things up there. We got the Wii Pro Controller, an extra nunchuck for the Wii. That's right, the hardware I got while I was, 5 hours away were 2 Wii controllers, or half a Wii controller and a Pro Controller for the Wii. I've recently been getting more into the Wii. I had a Wii when it first came out. I mainly got it for my kids. It didn't have a whole lot. There were some Resident Evils I got on it, and I played those and enjoyed those. But beyond that, no more Heroes 2. There wasn't a lot that I wanted on the console. I didn't really spend a lot of time with the Wii. Now, here we are 20 years later. I've really been getting more into the Wii lately. It has some fantastic games on it. Now, it's got a lot of shovelware as well, but there are some really cool games and experiences on the Wii, and I've been checking those out lately. And I wanted, an actual, while the Wiimote, as I call it, and the nunchuck and all that are cool, sometimes you just want to sit down with a regular controller. Now, I have found, since getting this, not nearly as many games as I hoped or was expecting use this damn thing. So I'm not going to say it's a total waste, but it's not going to get as much play as I had hoped. It works with a lot of the virtual console games, like the retro games that were on the Wii. That's not available anymore, unless I hack my Wii, which eventually I will. But there are a few games I have that it works with. It does work with Wii U games that use regular, which all Wii U games I think use regular controls or can, but it does work with those. I used it with Mario Kart 8. So the other night. So it does work with that, so that's neat. The nunchuck was because I have a few of the Wiimotes, but I only have one nunchuck, and as I said, I've been playing more of these, so my younger kids, have been playing with me a bit more on the Wii lately, and I only had the one nunchuck, so I picked this up. Neither of these was a lot. Not much at all, as we see here. This, I think I paid 10 bucks for this, and this one was around 15. We're gonna go with that. We're gonna say 15 and 10. And I think, at least in this case, that is overpaying, but I don't think it's overpaying by much. Look and see. So maybe we're off to a bad start, I don't know. But yeah, Wii hardware, that's what I got. Cool, I guess. So on to the games. Now, overall, I got about 60 games across the Xbox line of games, PlayStation, Sega, Nintendo, and even a bit of Atari. I didn't get any obscure stuff like CDI or 3DO or anything like that. I was hoping to, and I found a few, but nothing that really jumped out at me for a price I was willing to pay. So let's start off with the first one, the granddaddy of them all, the Atari 2600, the one game that I got for that retro console, and that would be Gravitar for the Atari 2600. Now, Gravitar is a game that I've never played. I don't know anything about it. It just jumped out at me. It had a cool cover and all that. I don't really know anything about it. I paid $9 for it. So hopefully that puts me in the green as far as like what these are all worth. Now onto the PS1. Now I did have kind of this thing where I wanted to get some big box or long box as they call them, PS1 games. There weren't any in particular. I just wanted to keep my eye open for some long box PS1 games. I didn't, prior to this, own any long boxes. They were all the little jewel cases like this. So I came across two, not really worth a lot, but still games that I wanted. One of them's a terrible game, and the other one, from what I understand, is a decent game. Haven't played either of these, honestly. Well, I take that back. I played one of them, but very little, don't remember anything about it. And the first one, and this case is in a little bit rough shape, but it's all things I can fix. I do like restoring old cases in games and consoles. This is one I can fix. It's not in great looking shape, but like I said, I will be able to fix it, and that is Top Gun Fire at Will. Paid about $5 for this. And yeah, I mean, this game, I didn't really ever play it, but I was aware that it was very FMV heavy. It's not an FMV game. You fly around in a fighter jet as Top Gun, but it has a lot of FMV, some of the people from the Top Gun movie. This is of course before Maverick. You play as Maverick, but not Tom Cruise Maverick. And yeah, it's just, mainly it's because if this was in a regular jewel case, I probably wouldn't have gotten it. I am interested to play it. I don't know if this is gonna be my next favorite game or anything, but it is an FMV game, and it is in a long box. That's why I got it. Like you see, it's coming loose here. It's all in good, decent shape. It doesn't look it right now, just the glue is coming undone, and I can fix that. I got a tear right here on this side, but I can fix that as well. So maybe at some point I'll do a stream or video or something showing how I restore a box. So it is complete in box. It is the actual hard cover or hard plastic box. I think there were some cardboard ones. I can't remember, man. Maybe I'm thinking of the Sega CD. But either way, Top Gun, Fire at Will, $5. Then the other long box game I got for the PS1 is an absolutely terrible game. Box is in pretty good shape, but this is just one of the worst games out there. And but I got it because of that. That's why I wanted it, because it is just notoriously so bad. Yeah, that's weird. I have some games in my library that I know are awful, but that's why I have them, because they're so bad. It's like it's curiosity about them. And I did get this also. The long box factor did factor into that, of course, because I was wanting some of those, and that would be Criticom, the fighting game. It's also on the Saturn. This is, in many circles, seen as the worst, at least definitely one of, near the top worst fighting games ever made. If you ask Matt McMuscles, the YouTube channel, who does a series called The Worst Fighting Game, Worst Farting Game. This it was at the top for a long time. I think it got dethroned by something, I can't remember, but it's like number 2. This is a terrible game, but the box, there's a little bit of glue missing there, but beyond that, the box is in great shape. It's complete, and it cost me $15. What it's worth, not 100% sure. We'll look there at the end, or you guys know right now. But yeah, Criticom. It is one that I just wanted, mainly because of the box, admittedly, but also because it's just so bad. I want to be able to say, have you ever played one of the worst fighting games ever made? Here you go. And from one of the worst games ever made to what many consider one of the best games ever made, but I am not part of many. But let's talk about it. I've talked about it before, but it's a game I just didn't own. Now, I've owned this in the past. I did own it on the PS1 years and years ago, and I owned it on the PC. Tried it again there. And then I tried it again digitally on something, and I have it on the PS4, the remake. You probably know what I'm talking about. I do like the remake, by the way. But this version of the game that is many consider one of the best games ever made, ever. It just doesn't resonate with me, and that is Final Fantasy VII on the PS1. It just doesn't. I understand. I've had this conversation with so many people in comments and in video and in person and everything. It's just never been for me. I want to like this game, but I just can't get into it. It just doesn't do it for me. When I first played it was because I wasn't big into JRPGs. But then even after I got into JRPGs, a few years later, I got into JRPGs around the Dreamcast times when I started to enjoy them. I went back to this game. I bought it on the PC. It's the better version. And it just didn't do it for me. I did a live stream a few years back. I thought it was better then, but it just still didn't do it for me. At that point, granted, I kind of hated it up to that point. After playing it that one time doing that live stream, I was like, yeah, it's fine, it's fine. And I know that's kind of blasphemy, but you know, opinions, they're like, you know what, and we've all got one. And my opinion of Final Fantasy VII is it's fine. And I know you can disagree. You don't have to make a comment about it. I get it. To each his own. If you love this game, which you probably do, I'm so happy for you. But I wanted it in my collection because it is such an iconic game. Since so many people love it so much, I just feel compelled to go back to it again, even though I just did a few years ago. And while my view of it did improve, I'll stick with the remake. This cost me $30 complete in box. I don't think that that's like a great deal, but I think it is maybe I saved a few bucks on it. Now for another PS1 game that was on my list of games that I wanted to keep my eye out for, and this is one I did own back in the day. I didn't get into it. I remember seeing the commercials and those convinced me to buy it, but it didn't, I didn't hate it or anything. I didn't get into it, but it has been a game series. There's two of them. I got part 1 and part 2. I've been wanting to get back into and give it a shot, and that would be Siphon Filter. And I also, I paid $5 for this, and then I also got Siphon Filter 2, which I paid $10 for. So I've got Siphon Filter 1 and 2. Is $5 and $10 a deal? I don't really know. $5 sounds like a good deal. I mean, this is a very well-known game. $5 for pretty much any game, I think, is a good deal. I mean, if you're out, you're not out more than $5. So, like, you know, so it's, you know, I don't think that's a terrible deal. I don't know if I'm looking good on my worth versus spent as of right now, but you know what? For a combined cost of $15 to get Siphon Filter 1 and 2, I feel pretty good about it because I'm going to get into these one day, give them a shot, and I'm happy to have them in my collection. Now on to the PS2, and while I don't have the biggest PS2 collection in the world, especially comparably to many collectors, I got a few, but I have been wanting to grow that collection. Now, I only got 2 games on the PS2 at the conference or the convention, and one of them was on my list of games I was looking for, and one of them was not, but both of them, one of them I know for sure is a fantastic game because I played it on a different console, and the other one I hear is great. And that first one would be Dark Cloud. Never played this, heard of it, seen this box like in a bunch of places over the years, heard of this, been told by many that I should check it out, so I put it on the list and found it. So I paid $15 for this game. Is that a good deal? I don't know. We'll find out, I guess. But yeah, Dark Cloud, it is complete in box. Disc is in really good shape. I hear great things about it. I know there's a sequel as well. And if I like this one, maybe I'll check out the sequel. And next on the PS2 is a game that is very near and dear to my heart. I didn't play it on the PS2 because it originally didn't come out on there. I played this on the Dreamcast. This was the game on the Dreamcast that opened my eyes to JRPGs. This was the first JRPG I played from beginning to end and really enjoyed it. This was the game that got me into JRPGs. I was late to the party, I know, but whatever. I'd been gaming for years and years and years, over a decade at that point, and just JRPGs never resonated with me until Grandia or Grandia 2. And like I said, I played this on the Dreamcast, and my understanding is that this version has it says featuring all new, never before seen cinematics, so it's got a little bit of extra stuff on it. Doesn't have a subtitle like director's cut or anything, but even if it's the exact same game as it was on the Dreamcast, it's a fantastic game. I talked about this in my Dreamcast video, so if you want more on that, my opinions on this game, check it out there. But this is a fantastic game and absolutely worth picking up. I paid, yeah, I don't know how much I paid for this. I want to say I paid like 10 or 15 bucks for it. I'll have to look at my receipts and I'll put it up there. From the PS2 to the PS3, only got one game on the PS3. My PS3 library is a bit more robust than my PS2 library. Still wanting to grow that though. I mainly focus on exclusives to the PS3 because those were my favorites. When it comes to multiplats, I did prefer them on the Xbox 360 of that generation, but this is one that was absolutely a exclusive and a huge game that spawned a genre of games that goes to this day and is fantastic. And I've just recently, more recently, started to get into, played them, this genre of games when it first started out, didn't love it, and just kind of accepted that and didn't give them another shot. recently got back into them and I'm really enjoying them, and this is the granddaddy of them all, and that is Demon's Souls. Talked about this in my PS3 video. If you want more of my opinions on that, check it out there. Paid $10 for this. That seems like a good deal to me. I don't know exactly how much it's worth. I doubt it's worth a ton because there were quite a few copies out there. It's a very popular game. But $10 seems about right for me, and it is a game I wanted in my collection and a game I do want to play. I played a little bit of this, but not a tremendous amount. And I played a good bit of Elden Ring and Dark Souls, but not Demon's Souls. What I have played of this, I really enjoyed. So this is a genre that I just didn't like, the Souls-likes. When it first started, it was just too frustrating and too hard. But it is the ultimate get-good game, because once you just keep playing these types of games, you figure out how to get around it. And I'm not going to be like some of those people be like, oh, they're easy once you... It's not easy once you figure out how to play the games and fall into a groove, but it is much more approachable and much more doable. So Demon's Souls, fantastic game. Check it out, and if you got any comments on it. If you love Demon's Souls, let me know in the comments. And last for the PlayStation games I got would be for the PSP. I have a smallish, a little bit bigger than smallish collection of PSP games, and that would be Little Big Planet. Got this for $5. I talked them down. This is a complete in-box copy. Once again, when it comes to a $5 game, even if it's worth $3, I don't feel like I really got ripped off that bad. I'm hoping it is worth more than $5, but yeah, Little Big Planet. I've played this on the PS4 or PS3. Honestly, it's PS3. I played it on the PS3. My understanding is this is very similar to that. I thought it was a fantastic series, what I played on the PS3. I own it on, I think Little Big Planet 2 is the one I own. So this is the PSP version, and I'm really excited to own that now. So let me know if you've played the PSP version of Little Big Planet and what you thought. So that'll do it for the Sony consoles. Now on to the company that they destroyed, Sega. Okay, yeah, they didn't destroy them. Sega kind of destroyed themselves. But anyway, let's jump into Sega's consoles. And the first will be Sega's, not first console, but the earliest console most people are familiar with, and that is the Sega Mega Drive. Not Mega Drive, sorry, Sega Master System. The Master System is a console I really like. Haven't done a video on it, haven't really talked about it much, but I do plan on talking about it in the future at some point. Now, I have a smallish Master System collection, and I didn't pick up but one game while at the convention, and that would be Afterburner, complete in box. I paid $8 for this. It's worth that much. Don't know if that's a good deal or not. It doesn't sound too bad, but there's a problem with this one. Yes, this is my first, and I will say only this trip. Only double buy. I already have Afterburner on the Master System, and yeah, I didn't realize it. Even though I had every tool at my disposal that I needed while I was at this thing to tell me that I already had Afterburner, I somehow overlooked it. I think it was just like a bit of an impulse buy. I saw it. I really like Afterburner, and for whatever reason, I didn't think I had it on the Master System, but as you see, I do. So this is the one double buy of the convention. I keep calling it a conference. So we're gonna delete those two numbers because they don't count now. But yeah, so I'll be trading this in or selling it somewhere. But I didn't spend a ton on it. You know, that's not too bad, even if it's not quite worth that. So if I did lose some, I didn't lose out too much. Now on to Sega's most popular console that they ever had, and one of the most popular consoles ever created, and one of my favorite consoles to collect for, and that is the Genesis. And I love collecting for the Genesis. Not only was it one of my favorite consoles that I ever had as a kid, but also because of these clamshells they got. I love the plastic clamshell. It just looks so nice. They look great on a shelf. Yes, they had some cardboard boxes later on in the life of the Genesis, but most Genesis games come in these nice little clamshells. I try not to buy games unless they are complete in box, and this is a complete in box copy of Super Street Fighter 2. Now I have Street Fighter Tournament Edition or whatever it's called over there, but this is Super Street Fighter 2 on the Genesis. I paid $18 for this complete in box copy. I don't think that's like a great deal, but I think it's maybe a few dollars less than its market price. I hope. We'll see. This is a great game. I love me some Street Fighter almost as much as Mortal Kombat. I am a Mortal Kombat kid, but I was a Street Fighter kid before I was a Mortal Kombat kid. So anything Street Fighter 2 and up, I'm gonna probably be a decent fan of. Now, everything beyond Street Fighter 2 and the 11 different versions of it they had, I'm not as familiar with, admittedly, and we're gonna get to that later in the collection. But Street Fighter 2, if it says Street Fighter 2 on it, I am probably a fan of it, and I will play. I played the hell out of this in the arcade back in the day, and on my Genesis, and on my Super Nintendo, until Mortal Kombat came along and said, hey, we're your new favorite fighting game. Now, surprisingly, that was my one and only Genesis pickup at the convention. I planned on getting more, but I just, for whatever reason, didn't. But I did get some Genesis add-on pickups for the Sega CD. One of my favorite consoles of all time. I just have such nostalgia for the Sega CD. I have a decent library of Sega CD games, and you can check out my Sega CD collection video to see what all I've got there and what I think of the Sega CD overall. But I got 3 Sega CD games that I did not already own, and one of these is one that I have been on the lookout for. Actually, 2 of these are. But one of them, none of them were on the list, my list for this, but I did have on my list just Sega CD games, and I found a couple of neat ones complete in box. And the first one is an FMV game, a Sega True Video production. If you know anything about me and Sega CD, you know I love me some Sega True Video productions. And from what I understand, as far as FMV games go, this is a pretty cool one. I don't love the property. It is a known IP. Not a huge fan of it, but I am a huge fan of FMVs, so Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the Sega CD game. This is pretty much like multiple episodes, from what I could tell, of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers that you get to interact with and have inputs. It's very much like Kamen Rider, very much in that vein where you just go along and you're hitting left, right, up, down, and action at different points in the game to progress. So I played a few minutes of this and I liked what was there. I'm not a huge Power Ranger fan, and by not a huge Power Ranger fan, I mean I'm not a Power Ranger fan. I was too old for it when it started and just never caught on to me. But I do love me some corny ass FMV cheesiness, so this is right up my alley. And for complete in-box, I paid 20 bucks for it. Is that a good deal? Is it not? I don't know. We'll find out. And next in line is a game that, while it wasn't on the list, it has been on my radar, and it's a game I've never played, and I've always been interested and intrigued by it. It's not, by all intents and purposes, a good game, but it's an FMV game, and when it comes to FMV games, all of them everybody claims are bad games. So people saying an FMV game is not a good game doesn't really say a lot to me. But this one, it's probably not a good game. It's one of the Sega Club, which was Sega's like kids collection of games, like Echo Jr. And this is Kids on Site. It's kind of like a bring your kids to work day, but an FMV game where these people bring these 2 kids to a construction site and you do some of the jobs. They put you in charge like a forklift and stuff. And it's just got a bunch of goofy characters and stuff like that. I played a few minutes of it. It's very basic, but it's so cheesy and corny and goofy. I really want to play more of it. I've been thinking about getting into streaming again here recently, and this is definitely a game I'd like to stream. So yeah, Kids on Site, not a great game. I paid $15 for it, complete in box. It is the nice the cardboard Sega CD boxes and 32X boxes. Sega CD and Sega CD 32X boxes, some of them came in these hard cardboard boxes. And while technically they are cheaper than the like clamshell boxes, the hard clamshells that most games came in, there's something about these that just was always kind of cool. These were later in the lifespan of the Genesis and Sega CD and 32X CD. And maybe that's what it is that always says to me, hey, newer games. So yeah, it's technically a cheaper box, but something about it just says quality to me. I don't know why that is. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to make sense. Kids on Site though, yeah, cheesy ass FMV game on the Sega CD, right up my alley. And next on the Sega CD is a game that is pretty much seen as not good either. This is a Sega CD game I never had an opportunity to play. This game has a ton of lore though. Like, it's really lore deep. You look in the manual, it's got pages and pages and pages of like the backstory to this game. And I love me some story in games. Whether it's good or not, you know, if you go off of what everybody else says, no, it's not. And I've played very little of the gameplay, which is, yeah, is what it is. But I'm talking about Microcosm on the Sega CD. This is usually seen as not a great game, but once again, lots of Sega CD games are seen as not great games, and I still enjoy them. Chances are, no, this isn't going to be a great game, but I'm hoping it's entertaining enough for the time game. Very long, like, FMV sequences in the beginning that are pretty cheesy, but kind of like cyberpunkish. so I'm kind of interested in seeing more of that. The gameplay itself, you just kind of fly around and shoot on like pre-rendered backgrounds. That wasn't great, admittedly, but hopefully it'll be doable enough for me to get through to the next cheesy cutscene. Now that'll do it for the Sega CD, but I do have one more game that I got for Sega consoles, and that would be for the Saturn. Now Saturn games are typically pretty expensive. Saturn games are very valuable. They hold their value pretty good for the most part. Now this is a game I had as a kid, was a teenager. I remember going to get it when it first came out and loved it. Me and my friends had a really good time playing it. It is a fantastic game. It's a racing game, and that would be Sega Rally Championship on the Saturn, of course. Now this is a complete in box copy of the game. I paid $35 for this. This is one of the more expensive, I mean $35 not a ton. That is one of the higher prices of things that I paid while at this convention. But it's a Saturn game. Saturn games typically, like I said, they just cost more. A lot of that goes back to some of these games, I think this one has been, but a lot of Saturn games haven't been ported to other consoles, and actually emulating Saturn is more difficult than other consoles. So I'm guessing that's why the Saturn games cost so much, but whatever the reason is, Saturn games typically do cost more than other games. As far as Sega Rally Championship goes, fantastic game, really fun, easy right turn maybe. That's forever burned into my head throughout this game because of this game. So yeah, if you're into rally racing or racing at arcade racers whatsoever, Sega Rally Championship is absolutely worth checking out. So that'll do it for the Sega consoles that I got games for, and now on to the Big N, Nintendo. And we're gonna start with their first console, the NES. Well, technically Famicom, but I didn't get any Famicom games. Their first North American console, the NES. And the first game I got on there was Dr. Mario, and I paid $4 for this game. None of these are in complete in box, by the way. I didn't get any complete in box NES games. They're all loose carts, which most collectors, that's what their games are, is loose carts. Dr. Mario, it's a game that I have played here or there. I'm not gonna say I love it. I don't hate it. It's good. It's a good, solid game, but it's just kind of a game. I got this because I feel like I'm a collector of all games, but I have an NES collection. It's an okay size, it's not huge, but Dr. Mario just seems like one of those games that should be in my NES collection. It's an iconic NES game. And yeah, that was simply the reason I got it. I'll play it. I'm not gonna play it a ton or anything. And it is in particularly good shape. Like the label and everything is in really good shape. It's a very clean cartridge, and it was only $4, so why not? And from there, we go to a game that I did want in my collection that I really do enjoy, that is hard as balls, and that is Ghosts and Goblins. This is in pretty good shape as well. Not as good a shape as Dr. Mario. It's got some dirt, needs to be cleaned up a bit. But yeah, this is Ghosts and Goblins. I paid $10 for this. This is also the 5-screw version. For those of you that don't know, certain games on the NES had 5 screws on the back, as you see these screw holes. You've got 3 screws in most games, but this one and a few others have 5 screws. I don't know why, for whatever reason. And yeah, this one is worth, this 5-screw variant, a few dollars more. It's not a lot more. I did only pay $10 for it, but it's Ghosts and Goblins, a fantastic game, hard as hell. It's like the Souls-like original, but I've been wanting this in the collection, and now I've got it. Next on the list, another 5-screw variant of an NES game, so it's worth a couple, this is another one, just a couple of dollars more. Sometimes they're worth like a whole lot more, like Punch-Out 5-screw, I think is worth like a lot more than the regular Punch-Out, but either way, this isn't Punch-Out. This is 5-screw variant of Kung Fu. Now this is a game I remember very well on the NES. Kind of like Dr. Mario, this is like quintessential NES. If you got an NES and you're a collector, I feel like you gotta have Kung Fu, and that's why I got it. This brings back a lot of memories. This is not the first game I ever played on the NES, but it was one of the first games, and it's just kind of, you know, you got an NES collection, you gotta have Kung Fu. It is quintessential NES, in my opinion at least. Paid $6 for it, 5-screw variant. Is that worth it? I don't know, we're gonna find out. I think so. I mean, $6 for Kung Fu, 5-screw or not, I think for me, yeah, that's worth it. And now this is a game that, while it wasn't on the list that I brought with me, it is on my list of games I have been wanting on the NES, and it is a game I played so much of as a kid, and one of my favorite NES games, and it is known as being a pretty damn hard game. And it was, but back then, I didn't view it as hard. Games were just harder back then. Not harder, just more skill-based, and this is definitely one of them, and it is Ninja Gaiden. The original Ninja Gaiden on the NES, paid $10 for this one. I don't think that's bad. Is Ninja Gaiden on the NES worth $10? I don't know. There's a lot of copies of Ninja Gaiden out there. I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't worth 10 bucks, but to me, this is one situation where I'm like, to me, 10 bucks for Ninja Gaiden, yeah, absolutely, I'll take it. I think it's worth it. Hopefully, we'll see it's worth more than that out in the real world. But yeah, Ninja Gaiden on the NES, absolutely worth it for me. Love this game, absolutely worth any collector picking up for the NES. Even if you're not a collector and you're playing an NES game, Ninja Gaiden is a classic, one of the best, and definitely worth playing. Here's another one that for me personally, I love. Like I said, I collect games that I want, and this is definitely one I had tons of fun with. Played this in the arcade a ton, and on the I think I played this on the Genesis more than the NES, but I did play it on the NES some. But I love this game and will usually buy, because there's tons of versions of it across all types of platforms for generations, and that would be Rampage. I love me some Rampage. I used to play this at the little arcade area they had at Fuddruckers, I think was the name of the place. I think that's what it was. It's like a burger joint, and they had a Rampage arcade cabinet there, and I played it all the time. I loved Rampage. It's super simple, but just a fun as hell game. And I like the NES version. I paid, let's see here, $5 for it. $5, like I've said before, $5 game, you can't beat that. Even if it's not worth, I hope it's worth more, but even so, $5 for Rampage, I think that's a good deal. And now here's an NES game that I did not play as a kid. I was very aware of. I played more modern versions of this because it's been remade, redone, sequeled, and all that. And that would be Strider on the NES. Heard about the game a lot when I was a kid, but never played it. Paid $5 for it. Once again, $5, can't beat that, man. But Strider, I know it's supposed to be a really, really good game. I like the later iterations of it that came out, like console generations later. There's Strider games that I played that I really did enjoy, like on, I think, Xbox Live Arcade and stuff. Played it on there, really enjoyed it. If this is even anything like that, obviously it's not gonna be as modern as that, but yeah, I'll enjoy it. Strider, good game, all accounts say this is a really solid game. It's $5. So now we're gonna skip a couple of Nintendo generations. I didn't get any NES or N64 games. Not for lack of trying, there was just nothing that jumped out at me that I was willing to pay. And we're gonna go to the GameCube. Now the GameCube has notoriously been difficult to collect for as far as like price for a while now. GameCube games have just been expensive and they've gone up. And what I got here today were two games that were quite expensive or are worth quite a bit, especially one of them, and both of them are on the GameCube. Got two GameCube games, and the first one is one that just recently got a remake on the Switch, and people have really been talking about, and this is the original version, and that would be Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door complete in box on the GameCube. Now, I do think that this has gone down in value recently because of the re-release of the remake. I paid it says they were asking 65. I believe I got them down 50 on this one, or 55. We'll go with 55. I'll go high and say 55. So is it worth that? I feel as if it is worth more than that. This is a game I've never played. I've heard nothing but good things about. So that was another reason I picked it up, because I've been wanting to play this game. I did play a few minutes of it to make sure it worked and everything once I got home. And what I played of it actually did seem pretty cool. So Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. I don't think I really have to explain it to anybody. I'm hoping that I got a good deal on this thing. And the next one is a game that I played very little of when it came out, because I didn't play the GameCube a whole lot originally, but I do know it is heralded as one of the best games on the system, and that would be Eternal Darkness. Now, Eternal Darkness is worth a good amount. I got a killer deal on this, and I don't know why. The box is dirty as hell, but it's in relative good shape. But yeah, I paid $30 for this, and this game's worth a lot more than that. It's worth this much more. This is probably the best deal I got of the show, was Eternal Darkness on the GameCube. Why it cost that much, I don't know. It was this woman who had a small booth there, and I didn't question it. I didn't question it at all as to why. When I got home, I was like, this is probably not gonna work. I put it in, and it does in fact work. It is the actual game. It's complete in box. This was a hell of a, this was the find of the convention for me as far as value goes, because it's worth a whole lot more than 30 bucks. So yeah, Eternal Darkness, as far as the game goes, it is a very interesting game. I haven't played a ton of it, but I know it messes with you, the player, and like messes with things. It says like it's deleting your saves and stuff like that, and it starts like making the TV or the image act as if your TV is going out, so it messes with your sanity and everything. So this is all accounts, and a fantastic game, and a game that I'm really looking forward to actually trying and playing. I played very little of it, like at a friend's house when it first came out or something. I don't have like a lot of comments on it firsthand, but everybody says Eternal Darkness is one of, if not the best game on the GameCube, so hey, and it's worth a lot. Well, I mean, it's worth a lot more than I paid, that's for sure. And from the GameCube, we move on to the Wii, a system that I've been getting into a lot more recently and trying to get some of the hidden gems in there and some of the great games within the Wii, because it does, in fact, have some great games. Like I said earlier, it's got a whole lot of shovelware as well, but it's got some great games. And the first one is, ironically, the game that if you have a Wii, or if you've ever played a Wii, I guarantee you played this game, or at least the one I was looking for, and it was on the list, and that would be Wii Sports. I know you're saying you have a Wii and you collect for Wii, and my Wii collection is okay-ish, but yeah, I don't have Wii Sports on the Wii. And Wii Sports, the pack-in game that every single Wii ever sold came with, goes for like 25 to 30 bucks. And yeah, that's not a ton of money, but I just can't justify paying 25 to 30 dollars for the Wii pack-in game that everyone has. There's no reason on earth Wii Sports should be worth 25 to 30 bucks. There's so many copies out there. Like the Wii sold like over 100 million units. So there's over 100 million copies of Wii Sports out there. It doesn't even come in a box. It comes in like a little cardboard sleeve, and it goes for that much. That thing should be like $2. $2. But it's 25 to 30 bucks for whatever reason. Not anything against its quality. Wii Sports actually is a surprisingly good pack-in game. I would go as far as to say one of the best pack-in games ever for a console. But I didn't get Wii Sports. I got Wii Sports Resort, which is the sequel. It's got a lot of the same games or mini games that Wii Sports had, plus a whole lot more. And it comes with, we'll open it up here and I'll show you. It has the Wii, what do they call it? The Wii Motion Plus. It's this little adapter here that makes the Wii more accurate. And it has this little not condom, they call it a glove, but whatever, come on. That goes on your Wii controller, or Wiimote as I like to call it, and makes it more accurate. And it also comes with the game, complete in box. It's all in there. And this I paid, what did I pay for this? $32. $32 for the complete in box with the motion sensor, the glove, and the game. I don't think that's too bad. I don't think that that's like a great deal. I think it is less than what it's worth. But I think I saved a bit of money on that, but not a ton. But yeah, you're saying, well, you didn't want to pay 25 to 30 bucks for Wii Sports, but this is Wii Sports Resorts. This is the next one. It comes with a lot more stuff. I can justify that a little bit more. So I got my Wii Sports I was wanting. I've been playing the Wii with my younger kids here a lot recently, and I really wanted Wii Sports. And since getting this, we've been doing the bowling and stuff, which I know is the most basic Wii thing you can do. But at the end of the day, it works really good. They've really been enjoying that and having a good time with it. So I can't, you can't fault it. You can't complain about it. Yeah, it's Wii bowling. It's really basic, but that's one of the beauty things about it. It works so damn well. But yeah, Wii Sports Resort, the whole thing. I got another, I already had the Motion Plus thing. I had one of them, so now I've got two. So hey, that's cool. I got a couple of more cool pickups. At least I think they're cool pickups for the Wii, and I'm gonna blow through them pretty quick. 5 in all on top of Wii Sports Resort. Resident Evil 4 Wii Edition. I got this for 15 bucks. This was one that I had back in the day when I first got a Wii. I don't have it now. I have a bunch of copies of RE4, but this one was the original. I think it was original. Or was it the GameCube? Yeah, the GameCube is when where it originally came out. But this version was cool because you actually get to use the Wii remote to point around and shoot things with the gun. So I think that was pretty cool. That's a neat little, I want to say gimmick. It is a gimmick, but it works really well. Is this the best controlling version of RE4? No, it's not, but that Wii controller Wiimote integration actually does make it worth it. This is a very neat version to play. Then I got Pikmin New Play Control. Now Pikmin's a series that I am new to. Probably about a year and a half ago-ish is when I finally got into Pikmin with the GameCube. This is just the GameCube version of Pikmin Part 1, but with Wii controls. And it's pretty cool. I didn't even know this existed, and I saw it at the convention, and I was like, hey, that's cool. It was $25. Seems a little high. Hopefully I didn't lose out on that. But yeah, 25 bucks for Pikmin on the Wii. It seemed like in my head when I said, oh, Pikmin on the Wii, I bet that's a neat control form. And it is. From what I saw, it does work very well with Pikmin. And from there, I got Mario Party 8 for 30 bucks. Man, these Mario games really hold their values. Complete in box. Yeah, it's Mario Party. As I've said in a few of my other videos, my older kids come home periodically and we all come down to the game room with their younger siblings and myself, and they like playing certain games, and the Mario Party games are one of them. And we got Mario Party 10 not long ago on the Wii U, and that one's okay, but it's just not the same as, I think we were playing Mario Party 6 on the GameCube for a while. So I heard Mario Party 8 was a really good addition, one of the last great Mario Parties apparently. Well, that's what they say. So I thought I'd pick it up, and I did for 30 bucks. And we played through it once or twice, and yeah, it's pretty good. Now this is one I've been looking for a while because I love this series, and as far as modern consoles go, this is probably the best way to play it because of the Wii's controls. Once again, that is, I do like to get Wii games that focus on that uniqueness of the controller, and that would be the House of the Dead 2 and 3 Return. Got this for 20 bucks, complete in box. It is just the House of the Dead 2 and 3 on the Wii. That's it. They didn't really do anything. There's nothing more to it, but seeing as how most of us know light guns don't work with modern TVs, with LCDs and flat panel TVs and non-CRT TVs, the Wiimote does. And it works very well. Now you do have to calibrate it. I will say that if you get this game, go into the calibration and calibrate the Wii controller for this particular game, and it works fantastic. It's just like in the arcade or you know, back in the day when you had a CRT. Light gun games are back. Well, they were on the Wii. And the Wii just really lends itself really well to light gun games because of its unique control, and I love the House of the Dead. So yeah, it's absolutely worth checking out if you like light gun games. And the last Wii game I picked up, now this one is the most unique of all of them, and I picked this up for two reasons. First of all, because of the thing I'm going to tell you about what makes it particularly unique. I've heard it's a new game, and also a friend of mine asked me to get this, so this isn't going to stay in my collection, though I do plan on getting it again. It's not a crazy expensive game either. I only paid 10 bucks for it, and that will be Okami on the Wii. Now, I've heard about this game for a long time, never played it. I understand it uses the Wii controller in a very interesting way, like you're painting things, and I played a few minutes of it, and it is a pretty cool mechanic. Now, I did want to play this game just because of that, and that made it worth it for me, especially for 10 bucks. But this was actually, I don't know if they realize that, this version is worth a bit more because this is the misprint. The story behind this is this cover art right here. You probably can't see, I'll throw up a closer version of it. This is the cover that the official Capcom actually used this image on their cover, but it's an image they pulled from IGN. I guess IGN had some promotional material, and they pulled that. I mean, it's their image, but I guess it's their image they gave to IGN, and then IGN used it and had a watermark right here under the wolf's mouth. I can see it, you probably can't, I'll put it up on the screen. It says IGN, and it has IGN's logo right there. It's a watermark, and they put that out as the official game. It's out there. So this is they did go back and of course redo it after that controversy came out, but this is the misprinted version of Okami. It's worth a bit more than the regular version. Not a ton. It's not stupid expensive or anything, but it is cool. I think it's really neat to have in the collection, and a good game to boot. Now only one more Nintendo game left, and it's getting hot down here. I'm starting to sweat, so I'm gonna take a break, but one more game on the Nintendo, and that would be the Wii U, the one and only Wii U game I got. The Wii U is a neat little console, by the way. Probably gonna talk about that later on in the future at some point, but it's a neat little console that had a lot of issues. But one issue it didn't have was that it had a fantastic Mario Kart game that is going on to this day, because the Switch Mario Kart game everybody plays started here with Mario Kart 8. Got this for $6, complete in box. And this is identical, from what I understand, to the Switch Mario Kart 8 that everybody's still playing. That is the most recent Mario Kart game, and it's right here. It started on the Wii U. Played this a few times. I, myself, personally am a bit more of a Sonic Team Racing Transformed fan, but this is a solid as hell game. This is a fun Mario Kart game. So I am looking forward to playing this more with my kids. This is another one of those games they like to all play down here together, this and Sonic and Mario Party and things like that. You know, party type games. But yeah, I figured Mario Kart 8, the most recent Mario Kart game. I know it's a solid game. It's a great game. For $6, can't beat that. What it's worth, I'm not sure. Hopefully more than $6. So that'll do it for the Nintendo consoles. Now we are on to our last console manufacturer, and that would be Xbox or Microsoft. And we're gonna start with the very first original Xbox, and I got a few games there, and these were mostly, I think, games, they're definitely games I've been looking for, and I think that they're on the list too. And the first one would be a game that people are probably gonna be like, that was on your list, really? Yeah, it actually, I think this one was actually on the list. And people are gonna be like, you call yourself a collector. BMX XXX, complete in box. Stickers all over the place from ED Games. But yeah, this is, if you know anything about BMX XXX, you know what it's all about, that XXX. You know, it's you got naked people, mainly women, that ride around on BMX games. This was originally a Dave Mirra game, BMX game. It's a very Tony Hawk Pro Skater, but with bikes and boobs. So yeah, and there is like a famous strip club did some video throughout it and all that. I'm probably not gonna play this much, but I just wanted it in the collection because it was such a weird time and such a weird game to come out. Such a weird mix of BMX and porn. Not porn, but you know, skin. So yeah, I paid, holy crap, is that what I paid for this? I paid $14 for this game. What it's worth, I don't know, but it's worth it to me to have this collection for whatever weird reason. From what I remember, honestly, the game's not terrible. I mean, it's a BMX Tony Hawk Pro Skater-esque game, so it's not terrible or anything, but I wouldn't call it great either, but it's all, yeah, it's XXX BMX. And next up on the Xbox is another game that has had like a checkered past. Like it started out and people talked smack about it and said it wasn't that great, it's okay, it's not really that great. Kind of talked down about it, and then as time went on, it got more and more popular, and now it's become like really beloved within the Xbox community, and that would be the original, not the second one, Fusion Frenzy. And I talked about the second one in my Xbox 360 collection video, but this is the original one, and this is actually a really good game. It has some really great mini games. That's all it is. It's not like Mario Party where you have like an overworld or a map or something that you're moving around on. There is a map, but you don't do anything with it. It is literally just mini games back to back to back that you play against people. Each level has like 5 or 6 stages, and it's a ton of mini games, and some of them are just really creative and cool. The corkscrew one, I forget what they call it. It's not called that, but if you played Fusion Frenzy, you know what I'm talking about. That's my favorite by far. A really fun party game. Played it one time with the kids the other day, and we had a decently fun time. So yeah, Fusion Frenzy, it's one I've been looking forward to getting. I paid $8 for it. I don't think that's a bad deal. What it's worth, I have no idea, but I paid $8 for it. Now this is one that was absolutely on the actual list for the convention, and I did find it, and I'm very, very pleased that I found this one. This is one I've been wanting for quite a while. I had it when it originally came out. I hate that I let it go. It's worth a lot more now. Its sequel is worth even more. Had that one too back in the day. Don't have it anymore. Dummy. This is one of the more sought after Xbox games, original Xbox games, and that would be Otogi, Myth of Demons. This is an awesome game. I loved this game back when it first came out. I think I played a demo of it, and that made me go buy it, and I was like the only person I knew who played this game. It's just a really cool game. It's not easy, but I never found it hard, if that makes any sense. It's a wonderfully balanced game. It's just a really fun game. I paid $41 for this, $41. So I think it's worth a little bit more than that. It's not the most expensive game in the world, but it is a game I have really been wanting to get on the original Xbox, and now I have it, and absolutely a game I recommend checking out. And the last original Xbox game that I got was another one I've really been wanting to get for a while that I had back in the day, and this is a fantastic game that I played, and I replayed it when it was released on PC. I actually streamed it a few years ago. It's still a really great game. My memories of it were a little bit better than the actual game ended up being, but it's still a great game to check out, and I think I got a deal on it. Paid $25 for it, and that would be Stubbs the Zombie Complete Box. This is a really unique game where you play the zombie. Instead of playing someone who's killing the zombie, you are the zombie who's killing the people. In this really unique kind of alternate 1950s era Americana, or lots of Americana going on in it. But yeah, this is a really cool game. It's been remade and remastered and re-released on all the modern consoles, PC, all that. So there's other ways to play it, but I wanted the original version on the Xbox. It's made by one of the guys who made Halo, I think. I think he was like the lead on it. It's made with the Halo engine, but it's nothing like it. It's a third-person zombie game. It's funny as hell too, but Stubbs a Zombie, absolutely worth checking out. But I mean, you can check it out on new console. And now on to the big daddy of them all, the console that's on everyone's lips right now because the store's about to close and the games are going way up in price and everybody's trying to collect for it, including myself, but I've always collected for this console, and I just released a video about my collection, not including these games, the Xbox 360. Yeah, Xbox 360 game prices are going way up. Will they stay up? I don't know, probably some of them, maybe some of these, but these are all games that I've just been wanting, regardless of what their value is. Hopefully they're more valuable than what I paid. And the first one is a game I played back in the day. It's a wonderful game. I paid a whopping $5 for it. Bayonetta, the original Bayonetta. And this is just a fun as hell game. Most of you are probably very aware of it. I'm sure it's worth more than $5. Probably not a ton. There was a lot of this game out there, but this is a really, really fun game. Not much more to say about it, so let's move on to the next one. Next, for a whopping $17, this is a very unique game that I really enjoy. It's been on other platforms. It's been remade. You can get it on PC, other places. I wanted the 360 version. That's where I originally played it. And I do think that one day this game will be worth more, and that is Catherine. This is a very, very interesting, very Japanese game. It's almost like a graphic novel type of game to a degree, with some puzzle game things added into it. It would take quite a while for me to explain what this game's about. Just know that it is very weird and very out there and very much worth you checking out. And now on to a sequel of one of my favorite launch titles for the Xbox 360. I haven't had nearly as much time, hardly any in fact, with this game, with the sequel, but the original I played so many times and loved it, and that would be Condemned 2 Bloodshot. Got this for $7, and I think it's definitely worth that, complete in box. Probably not worth a whole lot more. This one is not loved as much as the first one, and for good reason. The first one's amazing. If you haven't played Condemned or Condemned 2, definitely check out Condemned. It's amazing. Condemned 2, I'm not sure. I know it didn't get as favorable reviews as the first one, but still, my understanding is it's a solid game. And now onto one that I never played, but some friends of mine played and loved it, and I know it's a very divisive title and got a lot of flack, mainly for like its promotional material and also how its gameplay is kind of derivative of other more popular games such as God of War and some say DMC, but especially God of War. But you know what? If you're going to copy a game, copy a great game, and God of War is one of those, and that would be Dante's Inferno. Now, this is on multiple other consoles as well. I think that this game's had a resurgence in popularity in more recent years. It's not crazy popular yet. I mean, I only paid $7 for this. Clearly not that popular because I only paid $7 for it, but my understanding is this is a really entertaining game. Is it breaking any molds? No, but it is just still a solid, entertaining game, and I'm really looking forward to playing it. It looks disgusting, by the way. It's got some really disgusting imagery, so if nothing else, it'll be shocking. Now, this is one that I'm pretty sure I overpaid for, but I did want to get this. I actually set out to get the first in this series. It is a great game, but I mainly got it because my kids have been wanting to play it because I told them about it, and that would be Dance Central 3. I actually set out, like I said, to get Dance Central 1, but I found this one and I figured, hey, the third one, I know they're all quality games. The third one probably has more recent songs and it's probably a little bit better, so I got this one. Now, I paid $7, once again, $7. I doubt it's worth more than that, but I could probably get it for a bit cheaper, but it was $7. It's a really clean copy. It's complete. Why not? Now, I know what you're saying. It's a Kinect game, but it's the Kinect game. I mean, if Kinect did nothing else right, dance games and exercise games, it could do those, and Dance Central was the best of that. This is a really good game. This is the kind of game that the Kinect was built for. If you haven't played any of the Dance Central games and you have access to a Kinect, I definitely recommend checking it out. Now, this is a sequel to a game I loved and do own on the Xbox 360, and that would be The Darkness 2. This is the limited edition version. I paid $10 for this. I don't think that's too bad. How much is it worth? No idea. Probably not much more than that. Darkness 2, I don't think was as well received as the first one, but still a solid game is my understanding. I'm pretty sure I played a little bit of this, but nowhere near as much as the original one. The original one's fantastic. I loved it. Definitely check that out. Darkness 2, probably if you like the first one, check this one out too, but I mean, it's $10, and I'm happy to have it in the collection now. Now, this one isn't one I was actually seeking out, and I probably wouldn't have gotten. I got this on day 2. I know that because day 2 is when my wife went with me to the convention. Day 1, I went by myself. Day 2, she went with me. She loves zombie games. She picked this out, and that would be Dead Island. Game of Year edition, it was $3. $3 game you kind of can't beat. Dead Island, my understanding, is a solid game. I know I played a little bit of it, not enough to really remember much. First person, more melee than gun, just zombie survival game. So, I mean, you know, I'm sure it's solid. She wants to play it, so why not? $3, keep the wife happy. And then I got Dead Island Riptide for $3 as well. And this is kind of like the, not sequel, it's kind of like DLC, but it got its own game and everything. Kind of like the Gat Out of Hell to Saints Row 4 was. Yeah, it's a full game, but it's more of a spin-off, I guess. I think. It's not the sequel, because they got an actual Dead Island 2 that came out not too long ago, actually. But Riptide, it is its own game, but I think it's just kind of more of the first one. Is it any good or not? I have no idea. And I mean, I'm probably not going to play much of this. My wife has an interest in playing it. It was $3 though. I mean, come on. It couldn't possibly be worth much less than that. Speaking of zombie games, here's one that I really do like, especially the original. This is the sequel, but this one was fun as hell too. Dead Rising 2. Not as good, in my opinion, as the first one, but not bad at all. Still a fantastic game. I had the special edition of this years ago, and I don't have it anymore, but now I've got this one. I am happy to have this in the collection. I'm probably not going to play this anytime soon, but I will eventually get back to it and give it a shot again. Am I going to play it from beginning to end? No, because I've already done that, but I mean, you never know. I might get into it and just like really be called back to it and love it and jump into it. But Dead Rising 2, if you never played a Dead Rising game, part 1 and 2 are great places to start. And I mean, it was $5. It's $5 for a game that I know is good. Can't beat that. Now here's a game that is very popular, and this is the original, and there were 2 of them, but I've never played it. Not even once, not even the demo. The Evil Within. This cost me $3. So I guess it's not really worth a lot, because I doubt if I paid $3 for it, it's worth a whole lot more than that. But I've heard that this is a fantastic game, very Resident Evil Silent Hill-esque, so I am looking for it. I've been wanting to get into this. I think I own this on PC, like on Steam or something. Never played one single second of it, but I've heard nothing but great things about it. It is from Tango Gameworks, RIP, just recently got closed, but it's supposed to be a fantastic game, so I'm really looking forward to playing this, and I'm very happy to have it in the collection, especially for $3. Speaking of $3 buys, for $3 I got Gears of War 2, the one Gears of War game I don't have. So now the collection is complete. So there it is. Now I do have the special editions of all the other ones, and not this one. I don't know if Gears of War 2 had a special edition. Probably did. Probably did, I'm sure. I don't know, but this is just the regular edition. It is complete in box, and it was $3. Gears of War 2 is probably one of the most divisive in the series, but from what I remember of it, it's still a solid game. I have played through it. I own it digitally, but not the physical copy, but now I have the physical copy. I'll probably sit down and play this again co-op. Me and my wife, we like to play co-op games, and this is a great co-op game, so I'll probably get around to this again. So not only is it just going to be sitting there looking pretty on the shelf, completing a collection, I'll actually play it. And while rounding out that 360 series, I decided I'd go ahead and round out another 360 series, probably the biggest Xbox series around, Halo, with Halo 4, the one that I was missing. Now, this, like Gears 2, I did own at some point in the past, and I thought I still did, but apparently not. It's not on the shelf, I can't find it anywhere. This game didn't cost much, it's not worth much. It cost me $3. So it's Halo 4. There's so many copies of Halo 4 out there that it's never gonna be worth a lot, but I am happy to have it on the shelf to complete the collection. However, if you're gonna play this, I would definitely say play it on the Master Chief Collection. That's the best way to play it. And while this game is divisive, I actually enjoyed it. I really did enjoy this game. This is the first non-Bungie Halo game, and I had a good time with it. A really good time, in fact. I think this was very solid, and I think people really ragged on this one until Halo 5 Guardians came out, and then that became the punching bag. And I think people look back at Halo 4, they do look back at it more fondly. Is it as good as the Bungie ones? You know, maybe some of them. You know, I'm not gonna do like an official Halo ranking here, but I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's too far off from the Bungies. Some of the lore gets a little out there, but not Halo 5 Guardians wise. This is still Master Chief's game, and it's a good time. Now, this is one I've really been looking forward to reacquiring because I had it back in the day. And this was my favorite entry in this series, and that would be Ninja Gaiden 2. This game's awesome. I love Ninja Gaiden 1 on the original Xbox and Black and all that. You know, they're all the same game pretty much. I love those games, but 2 was the one. This was my favorite. I paid $12 for this complete in-box. It's even got the little slip cover with it and everything. It's in great shape. This is the best Ninja Gaiden in my opinion. I have Ninja Gaiden 1, Black, and 3, and now I have 2 to round out the series. 3, I haven't played much of, but I do know that that's the one that a lot of people are kind of like, it's not that great. I think that's after, what's his name, left Tecmo, the guy who created this. I can't remember his name offhand. But either way, 2, he was definitely there for that. This is like the creme de la creme of Ninja Gaiden, in my opinion. So if you've never played a Ninja Gaiden game, play this one. If nothing else, play this one. Part 1 had some archaic things to it. It seemed a bit older. This is prettier. It's faster. It's got more options. This is fan-friggin-tastic game. This game is so damn good. It's hard. It's got some hard moments, but it's like skill-based hard. It's never so hard that you're like, I'll never pass that. No, it's just so good. When you die in this game, it was your fault and you know it. So this game is awesome. Ninja Gaiden 2 is, this is peak right here. Peak, baby. Go get it. And now we got a couple of Resident Evil games to round that series out in my collection, and we're gonna start with Resident Evil 5. Not the best Resident Evil, no, but not the worst either. It's not a bad game, this is a solid game. Got it for $5. Resident Evil 5 for $5, 5 for 5, so that's not too bad. It's in good shape, everything's there. Resident Evil 5, I wanted 5 to round out the series on all throughout my consoles, and now I've got it. It was only $5. And from that one, we go on to Resident Evil 6. For $5 as well. This is probably the least liked mainline Resident Evil game around. And I've not played it at all. I watched a friend of mine play this when I originally got it. I got the Archives edition, I think, originally. It had like digital downloads of all the other RE games, or all the other Resident Evil games that were on 360, which was, I think, 4, 5, this one, maybe that was it. I don't know. There may have been other ones too. It had a bunch of downloads on it. I still have those. I downloaded them, so they're on my hard drive. But yeah, 6, I never got to play 6. I just never did. I finished 5 just barely and kind of left the Resident Evil series there. I just, for whatever reason, never jumped in. This is much more action-oriented from my understanding. I watched a friend of mine, like I said, play my copy, just bits and pieces of it. It looked very action-heavy. It looked pretty for the time, I'll give it that. And I mean, it looked exciting, but it did, what I was seeing on screen at least, reminded me more of Call of Duty than Resident Evil, I will say that. I haven't played it myself, so I can't say, but it was $5, and I am going to go and play that. I had this morbid curiosity to play this, but a lot of people don't care for Resident Evil 6. And another game I only paid $5 for and probably isn't worth much, but I love this game, is Saints Row the Third. Probably the best Saints Row game ever made. I like 4. People talk smack about 4. I think 4 is great and fun. It's kind of a totally different game with the superpowers and everything, but Saints Row the Third is like peak Saints Row. And I love the Saints Row series, not including that new one. Screw that game, it doesn't exist in my world. Saints Row the Third is fantastic. If you have like any interest in like a GTA game, open world shooters, or open world games, and just funny, kind of crass humor, check out Saints Row the Third. If you like this one, maybe you can branch out to some of the other ones in either direction, but start with Saints Row the Third. It is just so awesome. This game is fantastic. I played through it multiple times, 100%, and it is just so damn good. Absolutely, for $5, good God, I feel like I stole it. Now here's one that was definitely on the list, the top of the list, I think, and one I've been wanting to get for a while. Played very little of this when it first came out. And it's a very well-known game. It has gone up in value a good bit in the last little bit, And I think this one will continue to go up in value to a degree. I don't think it's ever going to be like hundreds and hundreds of dollars, but I think this is going to go up and retain a certain good $50+ value. And that would be Spec Ops The Line. Now this is the premium edition FUBAR pack, includes the FUBAR pack. I don't want to say too much about the story of this. It looks super generic. And when it first came out, that's what I thought. Oh, it's a generic 7th gen military shooter. But it is so much more than that. The story really gets you. The gameplay is good too. Maybe I rented it or played a demo, I don't know, but it had solid gameplay, but the story, unfortunately, I know what the twist is, but it's a hell of a twist, and it's a great story, and the way it plays out is just very well done. And this one is going up in price. I paid $30 for this, and that's probably close to its value. I think it's a little bit of a good deal, but I do think this is one that's gonna continue to go up. Is it gonna like spike up, like I said, to hundreds of dollars? I don't think so. I could see this getting up to the $50, $60 range and staying in there. Hopefully more. I mean, I always want things to go up more, but definitely up there. But all that value doesn't really have anything to do with it, honestly. It's because I've been wanting to play through this game, because this is one I've been wanting to play through for a while, and now I got it, so I can. Remember earlier I told you on the Genesis I got Super Street Fighter 2 and how I was a Street Fighter kid? Well, that goes on to the 360, and while I did leave the series off with Street Fighter 2 and didn't really progress much past that, thought I'd give it a shot with Super Street Fighter 4. Never played this, never played any of the Street Fighter 4 Super Tournament or otherwise, or whatever they may be called, I don't know at this point. But I wanted to jump into a more modern Street Fighter. Yes, I know 5 and 6 have come out now, and 6 seems really intriguing to me, by the way. I think I might pick that up at some time. But Super Street Fighter 4, I mean, it costs, what did I pay for this? I paid $3 for this. $3 for any game is, I mean, I paid $4 for the Burger King games back in the day. So $3 for a Street Fighter game, I feel like I got my money's worth. Probably not worth a whole lot more, but I feel like it's probably worth more than $3. Either way, I'm looking forward to playing this. I've been wanting to play one of the more modern Street Fighters in the past few years, and now I have a reason to give one a shot. And now the last game that I got at the convention, and this was a controversial, not controversial, I don't really know. It caught some controversy, I guess, for weird reasons, and that would be Too Human on the Xbox, a game that I think I played a demo of, never played the game. Silicon Knights, they also made Eternal Darkness, I think, on the GameCube that we talked about earlier. So, you know, good developer. This game was hyped to all hell, and it came out. That's about it. So it wasn't seen as great. It was pretty panned overall. There was some issues with the engine too and licensing, and they got in a legal battle too. So some of these were pulled from shelves is my understanding. I don't know if it ever came back. I don't know if that's going to boost the value. I paid $3 for it, so clearly the value, hopefully it's worth more than that, but hopefully the value, I mean, I don't think the value is going to go up that much. This game's probably not ever going to be worth anything, but I am happy to like have a bit of that history there, kind of like with the misprints and stuff. I like things like that. Plus, this is a game I have been wanting to give a try, because I've heard that it has a really cool story, really cool lore. The gameplay is just kind of like fine, from what I understand. So I am interested in giving this one a shot. If you've checked out Too Human and you think it's the greatest game ever made, let me know in the comments below. So that's all the stuff that I got at Southeast Game Exchange. So how was the show? What did I think? Overall, it was really cool, man. I had a great time there. Now, granted, like I said, I was by myself. It's the first one I've ever been to, and it was a lot to take in. So my first little bit there was just me kind of walking around, keeping to myself, looking around, just trying to get my bearings and figure it all out. But once I got more comfortable, got some cash in my pocket, and started walking around and talking to people, I had a fantastic time. Met some wonderful people. I'm not gonna say I made any friends or anything, but the people at the booths were all great. One of the things I really enjoyed about it, and that I really appreciated, was there was nobody like hounding me. Now, I've lived in large cities and very high populated places a lot of my life. I don't now purposely, but I have in the past. And I'm used to like walking down streets, walking down like markets and things like that, and people like yelling at me and trying to give me, hey buddy, come over here. Hey, I got this. You want to try this? Hey, all that. Or if you come in and you go to like look at something, people like attack and they're trying to sell. I didn't get that at all here. The most I would get was someone come up and say, hey, if you need anything, let me know, and then walk off. That was great. Now, some of the booths I went to were so busy that they couldn't do that. But some of the other ones, no, they were just there. And they'd talk if I showed I wanted to speak, or they didn't if I was just looking. They left me alone. I really appreciated that. I never felt pressured. I didn't feel like somebody was like staring at me trying to sell me on something I didn't want or did want or just anything. They just left me the hell alone, and I really liked that. So to all the vendors that were at Southeast Game Exchange, thank you for that, man. I really appreciate that, because sometimes I just want to go look at stuff and I want to be left the hell alone. And they did that. And if I didn't want to be left alone, if I wanted to talk to somebody, they were there to talk to. Now, there's like a bunch of panels and some famous people like Nolan North, John White, Boogie was there, and you know, some other people, voice actors and things like that were there. You could get like things signed, stand in line, and there were also some panels like there are at conventions where you can go and see some of that stuff. I didn't go to any of those. I did take a couple of games. I was thinking about getting them signed by some people, Nolan North and one of the Atari creators of like E.T. I planned on getting them to sign that. The Atari guy, I never saw his line open. Nolan North's line was like really long. Not like stupid long. I've been to conventions where lines for like famous people like Norman Reedus and stuff was like hours long. It wasn't that long, but it also wasn't something I was wanting to stand in. So I just said, not that big a deal. And some of the other lines, I just kind of got to the point where I was more focused on looking at the games and stuff, which was the majority of the show. So I didn't do any of that. I didn't have an interest in going to any of the panels they had, but they had some neat ones there. They also had like this giant arcade on the other side of the convention center that was just open for anybody to play. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to go over there. I planned on it on day 2, but I didn't stay as long on day 2. We just kind of wanted to get back. We had a 6-hour drive ahead of us. We just wanted to get going. I had decided, I've spent all I'm going to spend, or all I want to spend, so let's just get out of here, had a good time. But they did. They had this big arcade. They had a stage with like Rock Band on it and stuff. I know Rock Band, right? Where you get up there and people could play and like put on a show. That's pretty cool. They had cool stuff like that. They had some other like cosplayers, of course, all over the place. It looked pretty neat. Star Wars thing with lots of cool convention stuff like that. So yeah, I had a great time. It was really cool. If you're into video games, video game culture, collecting all that, I think you'd love something like this. You'll have a great time if you haven't been to one. I did. Now, one thing is, was the VIP ticket worth it? I'm not sure how much 2-day passes cost, but I do know the VIP pass that I got was 80 or 85 bucks, probably about twice as much or maybe a third more, something. It is more money. Is that worth it? What do you get? You get the bag that I showed you earlier with all that stuff in it. You get to go in 45 minutes earlier. The second day I showed up later, but on the first day you do. I'm not sure if you get in 45 minutes early on the second day or not. Anybody who knows, let me know in the comments below. Not really sure, but anyway, first day you definitely do. You get the shirt, you get a cooler pass, things like that, little things like that. Is it worth it? The bag is cool. I mean, the stuff in there, yeah, it's cool. Is it worth the price? No, it's not. It's neat to have. I'm happy I have it. And you get like preferred access to the panels and stuff too, and preferred seating. I didn't go to any of those, so that didn't really matter to me. But if you're interested in the panels, yeah, I think that would be worth it. The early access though, at first, no, I didn't think it was worth it. I went in there and like I said, it was somewhere between 250 and 300 other people in there. So we go in 45 minutes early. I'm walking around and I think, oh, that's a lot of people in there. It's a really big convention center, by the way. But I honestly didn't feel overwhelmed, and I did have a chance to go around and look at things unabated and not have to like dodge around people. But I still was thinking, I don't know if this is really worth it. I mean, there's a good amount of people in here. Wrong! Because then the doors open, and that's when a lot of people were in there. And about halfway through the day, I realized after having to like dodge around people and like wait for people to get out of the way, which it wasn't terrible, but that 45 minutes where I was able to just kind of casually walk around, I could just look at what I wanted to look at whenever I wanted to. It wasn't crazy loud and all that. That was bliss compared to the rest. I still enjoyed my time with all the people in there, but there was something kind of nice to just kind of be able to walk around in there and not, have to dodge around all that and worry about if somebody's gonna get this or they're gonna get that. It was much more low-key. You could take your time. So was it worth it? For that, yeah, that was worth it to me. That, you get the bag, you get the other little goodies. That's the main thing. That's the thing that really made it worth it to me, is getting in early. Though I didn't realize it until after I had been in with the crowd for about half a day, and then I realized, yeah, that 15 minutes or 45 minutes was wonderful. For me, yeah, that was absolutely worth it. And you can get really good deals, like that Magnavox Odyssey that I didn't get. But I saw it. I could have got it, but whatever. So was the VIP pass worth it for me because of what I explained? Yes. If that's not worth it to you, then just get the regular 1-day or 2-day passes. I think a 1-day pass was 20 bucks. So I'm gonna assume a 2-day pass was 40 bucks, VIP's 8, so yeah, it's probably twice as much. That's a good bit, but if you had that disposable income, yeah, I'd suggest doing it. It's fun to get in there a little bit early. Overall, I had a wonderful experience at Southeast Game Exchange. To the people that put that convention on, I know they do it every year and they're doing it next year. I will absolutely be going then. I'd love to be a featured guest or whatever they call it. I know they do that with some content creators. I know I'm not that big, but all that aside, I will definitely be going back. I had a wonderful time there. I think you guys put on an awesome, awesome show. And everybody there was just so nice. And it was just like all these people that had this very common interest together, and it was good vibes all around. That's what I liked the most about it as well. Everybody was just so nice and getting along, and all these people enjoying this thing together. There was never a bad experience the entire time I was there, except for that one time that real stinky guy walked up to me. But you know what? That's not their fault. That's that dude's fault. You're gonna get that in big crowds. But beyond that, everything was just really great there. I had a wonderful time there. I'm really looking forward to going again next year. I'm gonna get in some other video game conventions in between now and then and kind of work on my convention games, so next year I can get some even better deals and come home with a bigger lot and make another video just like this. But do I suggest you going to video game conventions, Southeast Game Exchange in particular? Absolutely yes. If you can make it to Greenville, South Carolina in 2025 when they do it, which I assume will be around the same time, go for it. If you're interested in seeing all that, just look up Southeast Game Exchange. All the info pops up there. I think they've already got next year planned, so check that out. Now there is one more thing that we gotta go over in this video. I know this is probably a bit of a long video. I'm not 100% sure because I do a lot of edits, but there's one more thing we gotta go over, and that is shelf space. Yeah, after bringing home 60 plus games, I don't have the space to put them. My shelves are already getting pretty full. So what am I to do? Buy another shelf, of course. So I looked up where I bought the shelves previously, and I got another shelf just like the ones I have because I like things to be uniform. And now I'm gonna build a shelf and reorganize this area over here. I got a pretty good idea where I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna move my arcade cabinet and put it there, and then I'll have 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 shelves to put my games on and shift everything around. And for your entertainment, here is a 1980s montage. More of a time lapse, less of a montage, but here, the next 60 seconds, hope you enjoy. That, I got another shelf in here now. I've reorganized things a bit and filled it in. I got some space to play with as I get new games. There's only one thing left to do. We got to talk about something real quick before we get out of here. I'm not going to hold you guys here much longer, but I have a confession to make. Come in just a little bit closer. No, a bit more. Come on in. Just come on in. I have a confession to make. There's something I find extremely satisfying, and one of the most satisfying things about collecting video games, really collecting anything that you kind of stack on a shelf, but for me, video games. And yeah, let me show you. So as a collector, there are a lot of things that are very satisfying and exciting about collecting games or whatever you're collecting and getting a new thing to put into your collection. But while I don't know if it's the single most, it's definitely up there and probably one of the most satisfying things that really just doesn't make sense, but it is what it is for me, is this. Ooh. Yes, that moment when you've got something new, you make room on the shelf and you slide it right in between two other things and it's there. That slide right there, one of the most satisfying damn things in the world for me. And while I get that that might come across as kind of weird, a little bit maybe, and maybe if you just haven't done it, you don't get it. But I can't possibly be the only person out there that likes this. So, for all you other weirdos out there who love that sliding motion of sliding that game right into its slot, this is going places. Here you go. The next 60 seconds is all for you. Ooh, ooh, ah, ah, ooh. Oh yeah, ah, yeah. Ooh. Ah. Oh yeah, yeah. Ooh. Ooh. Ah. Oh yeah, yeah. Ah. Yeah. Ooh. Oh. Ah. Yeah. Ooh. Ah. Oh. Oh, it's the best. Yes. Oh. Yeah. Ah. 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 Ooh. So that's the video. That was my experience at the Southeast Game Exchange in Greenville, South Carolina, my first video game convention ever. If you've watched this far into the video, I really appreciate it. I guess that means you like the content or you fell asleep while it was on, which, hey, we've all been guilty of that before. I get it, I'll take it. But if you are still watching and awake and you like this, then hit that like button and check out my other videos on the channel. I got other collection videos as well as story of documentaries on specific consoles and such. So check all that out if you like the content. And as always, I love you. You guys are awesome. Thank you very, very much for being here. I'm Retro Jake. I'll see you next time. Love you. Bye.